Hello, you're watching the business headlines on HW News with me, Ali Azhar. Just days after former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan brushed aside rumours that he would be running for the top job at the Bank of England, his name has been thrown into the mix for candidates to head the even more prestigious International Monetary Fund. In an interview with the BBC, Rajan confirmed that he hadn't applied for the position to head up the Bank of England because of political challenges posed by Brexit. He stated that such an appointment has become much more political in recent times and that it's best that a country has someone who understands the political situation within that country and knows how to navigate it. Okay, so case closed on that chapter. Now, moving on to the IMF story. The IMF role fell vacant after its current MD, Christine Lagarde's nomination to the position of President of the European Central Bank. She announced her resignation last week and it takes effect from September 12th of this year. As things stand, there is a growing demand for the next IMF chief to be from outside Europe and America. And according to reports emerging from the UK, Britain's Foreign Office was urged to back an Indian for the job. Mr. Rajan's credentials make him a good fit for the post. He's been a former governor in the RBI. He is a current faculty member of the prestigious Chicago Booth School of Business, and he has also worked as a former chief economist at the IMF for 3 years between 2003 and 2006. Besides Mr. Rajan, other contenders are the outgoing governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney, former Chancellor George Osborne, and a former Dutch finance minister. The business of entertainment and specifically filmmaking is massive and is flourishing. Top dog and one of the industry leaders in that game globally is none other than Walt Disney Studios. The studio owns both the top 2 highest grossing films and film franchises of all time. Just to point out a feather in the cap of Disney this year is the fact that the top 5 grossing films by revenue in the US and Canada were all made by studios owned by Disney. These include The Lion King, Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Toy Story 4 and Aladdin. And just to give you an idea of the scale they operate at, Walt Disney acquired 21st Century Fox earlier this year. That's another media conglomerate for a whopping $71 billion. That's close to 5 lakh crore rupees. So, with all that spending and other enormous operational expenses to boot, its income surely has to match its ravenous appetite for spending. And match it does. Avengers Endgame, the concluding chapter in a Marvel superhero saga brought to you from the studios of Walt Disney, toppled James Cameron's Avatar to become the highest grossing film of all time. With just over $2.79 billion, that's roughly 19,250 crore rupees in revenue from ticket sales worldwide, it moves ahead of the collections made by Avatar, which clocked in a revenue of $2.78 billion a decade ago. The box office spoils are divided in the ratio of approximately 30:70, which means that 30% of Endgame's revenue comes from domestic markets in the US, while 70% is from overseas territory. In India, Endgame stands as the highest grossing Hollywood film ever made, with collections of 373 crores. This one really took the country by storm, as it racked up a neat 157 crores within the first 3 days of its release, easily raking in the highest opening weekend for a Hollywood film ever in India. Opening day as well saw a record with 52 crores in collections, making it the highest opening day for a Hollywood film in India. If we bring Bollywood films into the mix as well, only Bahubali 2 and Rajnikant's sci-fi flick 2.0 saw higher opening day collections. What is interesting to note is that Endgame was released in just 1,700 theatres, which is negligible compared to the 4,500 to 5,000 screens that big Bollywood films occupy, thereby making this achievement all the more commendable. However, we must also factor in inflation when we talk about the highest grossing films of all time. And in this regard, considering that we live in 2019, it's fair to assume that Avatar's $2.78 billion, which came in a decade ago, and Titanic's $2.19 billion, which came in 22 years ago, would, if adjusted for inflation, be worth more than Endgame. Another noteworthy point is that the figures discussed above are only revenues generated via ticket sales. However, popular films make money from a range of activities such as DVD sales, etc. Hence, Avengers Endgame will probably have to wait a while before those figures are known to us. Thank you for watching HW News. This is me signing off. Have a great day.